Welcome everybody to the new to medical device sales Q&A. I'm so excited to have you all. And I hope you guys all had a great holiday weekend. We're all getting it back in here at the office, and I just want to see where you guys are calling from today or where you guys are watching from today. So where we are, just make sure to drop in the chat where you guys are from, because I always love seeing where people are from. Last time we had people from California, New York, Florida, Canada. So it's always fun seeing where you guys are all from. So I'd love to just see where everyone is calling in from today. So we got Build with Bender come from San Diego. Love it. Absolutely jealous because I love San Diego. I think San Diego is a very special place, especially coming from the Midwest. It was one of the first places I visited with an ocean. So absolutely love that we got some California in there. But if you guys are in, just put yourselves in the chat. But today I'm really looking forward to going over how we're going to help you guys really get into medical device sales, how you guys are going to stand out. And my whole goal throughout this time is to make sure that you guys continue to get value. Because one of the things I most commonly see is people not knowing what medical device sales is, what's the difference between all the divisions, and how to stand out because they don't understand how competitive it is. So for example, we just got one of our guys, shout out to Nick. He just got hired from joining our program in 14 days at BD, which BD is a big company. If you guys don't know them, Bender Dickerson. So great company. But just so you guys know, it's not normal to do that. It's not normal to go apply and then get a job within 14 days, get a job within 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So you just have to understand that. So today we're really going to dive in deep about how you guys are going to be able to stand out through this process. What is medical device sales? What's the process actually look like? How you can have yourself stand out to go make 6 figures. And we're going to dive into it. So absolutely love seeing where you guys are from, but also just want to make sure that you guys know that we are here to just give you a lot of value, because for us, the best thing that we can ever do is, like we always say, watching you guys win doesn't make us lose. So we just want to continue to watch where you guys are going to go crush it. And we just want to continue to just hopefully be a help during this journey. So really, to get us started is, before we get going too much, is who am I? Why should you guys even listen to me? So just a little quick background for those who don't know who I am. My name is Jacob McLaughlin. I'm a former personal trainer from a small town in Iowa. I moved out to Arizona with $1,200 to my name, saying, hey, I got 2 months worth of rent. Hope I can figure it out. That led me into personal training with some very great individuals in the world here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I learned a lot as a young trainer. And then I got people started asking me about, hey, have you ever thought about medical device sales? And I didn't know what that was. And I was like, what is that? And so I did a little research, started learning more. And then I said, hey, I'm going to document this journey, because what you all learn is everything you guys are learning is what I had to go through as well, where I got told by a bunch of people, you got to go do all of these sales roles to get experience and to get in. But I had people that I was personal training who owned companies worth millions and millions of dollars that they're like, you don't need to go do that. You just need to know the right way to get in. And so that took me down this journey. I documented the whole journey. And as a 25-year-old kid who came from personal training, I was able to go and get 4 job offers from Stryker, J&J, Zimmer. And then I took a full line rep. So I skipped the associate sales rep role. And I went in as a territory manager with Medtronic, where I then took the lowest performing territory in the nation to number 8. And I was number 1 on my team in the very first year. And then from there was headhunted. I then went and was a regional manager for Innovis Medical out of the UK, where I ran 13 states. I ran the whole Western United States, one of the first 3 Americans there. And then from there, was able to close one of the largest deals in company's history, had a lot of success, grew that territory. And then while doing that, we had helped over 1,500 people break into medical device sales. And now what we do every single day is help people break into medical device sales. Our average person breaks in an 8.5 week at over $105,000. And we now have been able to help over 2,500 people. So it's been a lot of fun. We now get to work with some really great companies. We have really good relationships. Actually, just right before this, I was talking to a medical device company that we're helping with. They were just giving us compliments of the people we supplied, which was always nice. But we make sure that we give people really high quality candidates. And so that's what we do, is we make sure that we're not only just trying to help you guys break into medical device sales, but we help people break in at over 6 figures. So that's always our goal. So let's kind of get into it. That's a little summary of who I am and why should you guys even listen to me. But it's just every single day, all we do is help people break into medical device sales and want to help you guys learn about medical device sales. But when we get into where do you even start to break into medical device sales? So I think before we talk about where you guys can start to break into medical device sales, you need to understand what medical device sales is and how competitive it truly is. And so the thing I want you guys to truly understand through this journey is the average medical device sales rep, right? Is again, medical device sales can be a lot of different things. It can be, selling straight into the OR. You can be selling to hospitals. You can be selling to surgeons. You can be selling to med spas. There's a lot of different areas and different divisions, right? Like if we break it down, you could be in shoulders, or you could just be in hips, or you could be in ortho as a general, or you could be in capital equipment. You could be in, minimally invasive. You could be in GYN urology. There's just so many different divisions that go into it. But why I share a little bit of that background is you guys need to understand is the average rep is going to make around $177,000. Not only are they going to make $177,000, but they're also going to get travel paid for. They usually get a car stipend, or their car paid for. They get a car, they get their gas and gas paid for, a lot of fixes. So you get all of those. Plus, you're going to get the travel. Like I said, great matches. Usually we see up to about 6% match. Plus, you're going to see a great 401k. There's just so many benefits. Plus, you're working with surgeons. Plus, you're getting a work-life balance. Plus, a lot of times it's very uncapped for your earning. And so the reason I share that to you all is because what you truly need to understand is a lot of people want to do that. If you don't know, the average interview process is going to be 5 to 7 interviews, 6 to 12 weeks long, and you're going to go up against 500 plus people. Why? Because a lot of people want to make the money in the lifestyle that we just had. But like I say that because we had a viral TikTok go, and it was for a nurse. We just got hired. Shout out. Kyle got hired at $175,000. And people were like, 5 to 7 interviews. I would never do that. But I just have to say this with the most love. That's why they're not making $175,000, because all the people who are commenting literally were saying, I make 50K, 70K, 80K. But what you have to understand is this is an industry and an opportunity that's like no other. This isn't like you're just going to go apply and get 1 or 2 interviews. This is, you guys are going to go and change your life. And just by being in medical device sales, you're going to be in the top 10% of Americans in the earning capacity, right? If you're just average. So that's one thing I just want you guys to all really understand as we go through this process of what is medical device sales. But to climb in a little deeper is, what is medical device sales? Like we said, you can be selling a lot of different pieces of equipment. And like I even was just explaining it to someone the other day who knew med device sales, but didn't know med device sales, and they had heard of it. But what they didn't understand is a lot of times in a surgery, the medical device sales rep is the one coaching the staff and even the surgeon on how to properly use the device, or how to, for example, if they're doing a shoulder, they're going to be putting in an actual shoulder. But that rep has seen so many shoulders put in that they might be able to give some advice, or they're just there to help troubleshoot just in case something goes wrong. And so what people miss is sometimes as a rep, you can be in the OR, you can actually be a part of the team, you can be a part of the surgery, and you're making that impact. And then other times you might be like where my second role with Innovest, I wasn't actually in surgeries, but I was going to work with all the residents, all the people who were becoming surgeons. And we were giving them training so that instead of practicing on live human beings, we were having them practice on the demo models that we made. So instead of them practicing, we can make sure that it's in a controlled, safe environment. So what you guys just have to understand is medical device sales has such a broad variety of where you can go. But wanted to make sure you guys just understand why medical device sales is so competitive is because it is one of the top industries, and there's uncapped, and the people you work with and the benefits that you can get. And that's why so many people absolutely love to come into it. And then you'll see like what I posted today on my LinkedIn is where people are getting to see like they're in the OR. They feel so grateful. They can't believe they get paid to go help and make a difference in people's lives. And so that's one thing I would just always say is many times I talk to people, and it's not just so much about the job that they do, but they also want to feel fulfillment, and they want to feel like they're making a difference in people's lives. And they also want to know that there's career growth, right? So that's one thing that I want you guys to understand about when you're looking to start in medical device sales. This isn't your average job where you're just going to go apply and hope it works out. Okay. So that's what you guys need to understand. Then let's go talk about why applying isn't enough, right? So what we just mentioned was on average, you're going to see 5 to 7 interviews, and you're going to see 500 plus applicants going to those interviews and going for those jobs. So why applying may have worked on other jobs, but it's not going to work here is because a couple of reasons. Number one, there's so many human beings. So you just putting in an application doesn't make you different from the other 3 to 4 to 600 other human beings that put in an application. So that's why we don't usually recommend a lot of our people putting in applications, because many times it's just going to get lost. But on top of it, once you even put in an application, then you're no farther ahead than any other person that just got a call from, hey, we looked at your application. Because what you guys all need to understand is most people lie on their applications, right? Most people make themselves look better. So you just have to understand, just relying on an application a lot of times won't even get you a conversation. Number two, what you also need to understand is that you're going to have these companies have AI in their systems. And so when people do message them or they do apply to these companies, AI is going to be able to flag stuff. They're going to take it out. And if you don't have the right things put on your resume, you're not going to move on to the next round. And so that's why it's so important to not just do what everyone tells you of, oh, just go apply for a job, because that's just the advice you're going to get from a lot of people. But I do just want to put this out here as friendly as I can. If reps and managers are just saying, just go apply, right? Especially reps, if they're just like, hey, just go apply. That's an easy way of saying, all right, I'm done with this conversation. Talk to you later. Go apply, right? Because many times you guys are going to go apply, but it's not going to work, right? Especially many of the people we work with don't have sales experience and they don't have clinical experience. And then, so I always tell you, if you have no sales experience, you don't have clinical experience. And from my experience, normally, if you're under the age of 25, that's also going to be another red mark for you, just because of the maturity world. Many people under the age of 25, and I say this just from experience, are very emotional thinking. And so many managers are like, I'd rather work with the 31-year-old who has the exact same background than the 22-year-old, just because from a maturity standpoint. So just so we're clear, that doesn't mean you guys can't get jobs, because shout out to Trey, who we just flew out to Connecticut and did a podcast with, 24 years old, hired at $160,000 with Medtronic. Like, it is possible, but you have to show why you're going to be the top candidate. So just want you guys to know, just applying isn't going to be enough through this process to have you stand out, because again, everyone else is applying and there's so many applicants who want to go get this exact same job, that you guys need to understand with this process that you need to be different. And it's not going to be like every other job. And that's the last thing I'll just say on this piece is, everyone always says, well, Jacob, I've done this before for this, right? And it's like, well, great. That might work for a $50,000 or $60,000 job. That's not going to work for a $130,000 job. And also what you guys have to understand is, even if you were going for a role, let's just say it's for $75,000 in medical device sales, that's the starting. So you're only going to make more as it goes up, right? And so you have to understand is you have to make sure that you're taking this very serious as you go through the process. Now, when we talk about applying, why you aren't going to just apply, well, you need to know how to network the right way, right? And so when we're talking about networking, how do you network the right way? Because what most people will do, which we talk about on our podcast all the time of but not what to do, is reach out to them, reach out to reps, reach out to managers, say, hey, I'm interested in medical device sales. Can I pick your brain? Right? Just so we're very clear, my friends, I just had a rep who's been in the industry for 4 years say, hey, I saw you're in the industry as well. I want to pick your brain. And why this normally is not going to work is because you have to understand medical device sales is a very professional setting. And when you are messaging the reps or the managers, you have to understand you're not the only one. So they're getting lots of messages every single day or every single week or month. And so just saying, hey, I want to pick your brain, or hey, I want to learn from you, isn't going to be enough. That's not going to be enough for a manager to get on a call with you. That's number one, right? But number two, most people do as minimal work or preparation as possible, right? So they'll ask somebody for their time, and then they'll be like, so where do you work? When in a 5-second LinkedIn search, you can find out their work history, where they're at, all that information. They can look up the company. You can look at the division that they're in. Like, most people do minimal amount of work and want the maximal results when it should actually be flipped, right? So what I would just sit here and tell you all is, please don't say, hey, I'm trying to just pick your brain. That's number one. Number two, I would also just make sure that you guys do a little research, even take 2 minutes before you get on a call with somebody off of LinkedIn, and be able to have that conversation of where you are having some questions, right? Because what most people do is they come in shooting blind, like they have covers over their eyes, and then they're just asking a bunch of questions. And you have to understand, with reps, managers who are extremely busy and who are doing this out of the kindness of their heart, they get really tired of people who want a job, want an opportunity at over six figures, and then they're not even willing to do the work for that opportunity. So make sure that you guys are going to be actually doing your prep work, right? One of the other things I would just put as a suggestion is, we're going to talk about LinkedIn in a second, but making sure that you're not having the open to work file on your profile pic. We see that a lot, and why it may work for some other industries and work for some other jobs, why we don't suggest it is just for the example of, you're coming into medical device sales, where sales is about hunting and hunting is about going and making opportunities happen, not looking for handouts. And so if you can think about that, if you put open to work, it's like saying, hey, can you just come and give me a job? And then you reach out to somebody and say, hey, can I pick your brain? And then you're saying, hey, I'm just looking for an opportunity. That person you're reaching out to is going to reply and be like, yeah, you and everyone else, right? Everybody wants to come in and get their car paid for, gas paid for, travel paid for, make six figures, have a good work-life balance, work with surgeons. Like, that's a norm. So what are you doing to separate yourself throughout that process? So this is where you guys, again, just doing a little bit of prep work. One of the pieces that I can give you to hopefully benefit you all is, AI is a very cool thing, and ChatGPT can give you more information in about 30 seconds than you could even learn after talking one or two conversations with people at these companies. And so if you know these companies, you can actually go look them up. You can throw them into ChatGPT. You can ask some really good questions, and it can give you a lot of questions or information to at least be dangerous with. Right? Just understand, it's not going to be a one size fits all. And also, please understand, AI is not perfect, and it's not going to give you 100% correct answers. So you have to kind of swift through what you would like to ask or get a general information. But what I can say is, it will give you enough information that then you can actually get on those calls with people and fact check, right? Hey, I was reading on this, or I heard about this, and then just fact check it so you can see if that's actually lining up or if it's true, which will only make you look better because it shows that you actually did preparation as you go through that process. Right now, we want to talk about LinkedIn. And why do we talk about LinkedIn so heavily when breaking into medical device sales? It's because LinkedIn is going to be your online resume. LinkedIn is going to be what you're going to want to use to be able to get into medical device sales majority of the time, because compared to like Meta, Facebook, right, Instagram, TikTok, not many of the reps are going to be on there, or managers are going to be on there. But on LinkedIn, they're going to be on there all the time. And the first thing that happens is, when you're on LinkedIn, they're going to actually go search your profile. And so this is why, how to utilize LinkedIn correctly, you need to have a really good profile picture. So we always recommend that you have a very professional headshot. You guys can even take these with your phones. A lot of the new iPhones and new phones have great cameras on them. Go put on a suit, go put on professional business clothing attire, and then go take a really well lit picture that you guys can go put on your LinkedIn. Because many times we'll see people posting very dark photos, or ones where you can't really represent, or they'll post like 6 people in the one and you can't tell who's who. That's number one. But number two, also, we'll see a lot of people like go from weddings, which we have no problem with, like, hey, go post when you're looking nice. But sometimes they'll post when they're a little hammered, or they'll post that they have had a couple drinks, or they post where they're not looking very professional. And so just understand that LinkedIn is a very professional manner and a very professional platform. So you want to make sure that you are making yourself look as good as possible on that aspect. Again, take that open to work off banner, because that's just going to help you guys look like you guys are hunters. Because you just have to understand, when you reach out to people on LinkedIn, they already know you want a job. So you put in open to work doesn't be like, especially if you don't have the sales or the clinical experience, and you put open to work, and then you're like, oh, here, nobody's looking at your open to work and being like, oh, you don't have 2 of the 2 things we're looking for. Yeah, let me just reach out and see if you want a job. Like, that doesn't happen. Okay. So just for yourself, take the open to work off. And then from after you take the open to work off, then what you guys want to do is you want to go connect with reps. So one of the best pieces of advice I can give you, if you've never used LinkedIn or utilized LinkedIn in a very like professional manner, is, let's just say you have a couple companies that you want to look at. Well, first off, you guys can go and Google some companies that you think would be good. But let's just say, for example, let's go Medtronic, right? Well, if you guys didn't know this, you can actually search Medtronic. You can go to their company page. And then if you go scroll down, you'll actually see where it says people. And then you can go search the people, and you can actually search by sales. You can search by marketing. You can search by whatever it is. And then you can actually even search areas. Arizona, you can do the state, you can do the city, you can do the country. And then that actually gives you enough to be dangerous with, where you can go reach out to people, connect with people. And then once you've connected with human beings, my piece of advice there is don't send a note when you're doing the connect, because it only gives you 300 characters, number one. And number two, everybody that you're reaching out to, they already know that you want to do med device sales. So it doesn't make much sense to be like, hey, I'm looking to get into med device sales. They already know that. And then number three, why we say not to do that is because you only have so much time in the day, and you writing to people who haven't accepted it won't actually help your chances. Most of the time, it's actually going to hurt it. If they see that, they'll a lot of times press decline. So I would say just connect. And then once you connect, then you can send a message. And then when we're going into how to utilize it the right way to connect with these people, you're going to be sending a message to them. Again, they already know who you are. For example, that you want to break into medical device sales. So you don't need to say you want to break in. They already know you want to break into medical device sales. But then secondly, what most people do, which I see is a massive mistake, is they write a whole book. They write like their whole life. They write 3, 5, 7 paragraphs to people. Number one, you have to understand who you're working with and talking to. Salespeople. Salespeople are not known for reading 5 paragraphs, right? They are looking for skimming and how do I move as quick as possible. That's number one. But also from there, then what they do is they go and they say all this stuff just to get on a call and repeat it all, right? And then if the person does actually hear it, they're like, okay, I already know that because you already wrote me the 5-page paper, right? So what I would just sit here and tell you guys is keep it as minimal as possible, keep it as interesting as possible, right? We always suggest a couple paragraphs or under, right? What intrigues the person to get on a call with you? And then the last piece of advice that I can tell you, and I can promise you that will be helpful, is make sure you put your phone number. Because what many of you don't do is you don't put your phone number, and now you're asking for someone's advice or you're asking for their time. And then what happens is you send that message, then they have to wait on you. And if they're nice enough, they'll be like, yeah, sounds good. Send me your number. They have to wait for your reply, which could be 5 minutes if you're on LinkedIn right away, or it could be 3 days. Who knows, right? And then by that time, they might forget about it. They might have got already other messages. But also what many of you miss is many times reps are driving, they leave, they go to 7 different hospitals in a day. So the thing is that you need to understand is, well, they might just look at it, get a LinkedIn message and be like, okay, I'm just going to call this person right now, right? So that's what my advice would be, is put your phone number right there, because just like in medical device sales, you want to make the end user who you're going after, the prospect, right? In this case, it's the rep because you're trying to get on a call with the rep, right? You want to make their life as easy as possible. So how can you make their life as easy as possible? You can make sure to give their number so there's least resistance for you to just give them a call. Then they'll call you, then you can pick up, then you can start having a conversation. So those are the big pieces to how to utilize LinkedIn really professionally. But we're going to go into the last piece. But before I go into the last piece, before we start our Q&As, make sure you guys are dropping your questions into the chat, because we're going to open up the last half hour or so for your guys' questions. Okay. So just make sure you put your questions in. We'll make sure to start answering those questions after this before we go. But I just wanted to put that in before we go into the last piece on how to stand out to land a 6-figure job. So most common question I get is, on average, our person comes in at over $105,000. We can talk about, who we've just done podcasts with like Kyle coming in at over 115 grand. We just got Trey at over 160, Cassandra 170, Kyle 175. Like we consistently do this, and people come to us and they're like, how do you do this? How do you get people hired at 6 figures? Especially even just starting out in the industry, how do you get them? Well, a couple of reasons and how we are able to do this. Number one, it's because what you guys need to understand is you can't treat it like another job. Like I just said, most people who reach out, bare minimum effort. Most people don't even research the company or the division that the person's talking to. Most people don't even look up the LinkedIn. And then they're like coming to jobs for 100, 150 plus $1,000, and they've done under 5 minutes of work, which doesn't show that you're a real top gun, right? And so what you guys need to all understand is, if you want jobs like that, if you want jobs for 6 figures, 100, 120, 140, 180, $200,000, Do these companies feel like they are getting an absolute steal at those prices with you? And if the answer is even questionably, maybe no, you're not going to get the job. You have to show them, no matter your background, that you are without a doubt the top candidate. So how do you do that? Right? Well, number one goes back to what we already said. Make sure you do a little bit of research of the companies. Do you know the differences between Medtronic, Stryker, J&J, Zimmer? Do you know the different specialties that they're all in? Do you understand the divisions that they do? Do you understand the person that you're talking to? Did they come from one of those companies? Did they work at Intuitive and Robotics before they came over to Medtronic ASI? Like, why did they make the switch? Like, understanding those kind of divisions, companies, what they do, which will help you in your conversations, because what you guys all think is you're just doing one-on-one, which it's you actually have to have them stack on each other so you become a more well-rounded candidate, because then you can talk to all the different specialties. That's number one. Number two, the biggest thing I can teach you all is it has to be peer-to-peer, right? Do people look at you as a peer? Nobody's going to hire you at over $100,000 if they feel like, oh, I'm just going to have to teach this person everything. They don't come prepared. They don't have questions prepared. They're not really the go-getters that we're looking for, right? So what you have to understand is if you want to break in at over six figures, you have to make sure that you've done your work, you show up very professionally, and that they look at you as a peer-to-peer basis, that they already look at you. The number one thing that we get told to our members is they're like, you already know just as much, if not more, than some of our people inside of our organization. And there's a way to do that, right? And a lot of it comes with the doing correct networking. But what you have to understand is just applying isn't going to get you there, right? Just talking to one or two people isn't going to get you there. And then even if you did you learn from them? Do you have an understanding of the territory? Do you understand what the competition does? Do you understand what the difference between them and the competition is? It's like we give a whole list to our people like, hey, do you know all of these differences? Because if you don't, that's going to have you lose out to somebody who does, right? Because also just understand many of the roles we have our people going for, they're not just going up for an opportunity to like beat someone else who also came from nursing or somebody else who came from, a sales background that's not in medical device sales. Most of the people that we work with are going up for positions that, like, let's just say it's a Stryker, right? Well, you're not the only one who wants to work at Stryker. There's other people already in medical device sales that want to work at Stryker. So you're not only going up against people who don't have experience, but you're also going up against people who do have experience. So for you, we want you guys to really make sure that you're standing out. So are you guys dressing professionally when you guys are doing interviews? We just talked to a manager who said they had somebody show up in a t-shirt and jeans. Don't do that. All right. I don't think I need to say that, but apparently I do. So make sure you guys are dressed professionally. Have you guys done your research? Have you talked to reps and managers? Do you know the mission statement? Do you know the values? Do you know the differences between what they do and their competitors? Do you even know why you want to work for this company? That's a common question that people will get asked is like, why do you want to work for us? And it kind of turns into, well, you're the only one who gave me an interview who's not always the best fit, right? So make sure that you guys know why you want to work for a company, why you want to be in a division. So if you can do that, that's going to help you really stand out in that process. And then for you to really land a six-figure job is just understand is you can't be guessing. We say this, and I just put this on the post today. You can't question if you're going to win the game. If you don't know how to play the game, it's hard to win the game. But like for us, we're not questioning. You have to understand what's the difference between interviews 1, 3, 5, and 7. And what's the differences between interviews 1, 3, 5, and 7 at Medtronic, Stryker, J&J, Zimmer, because they're all different. And what people don't even understand is even in the different divisions, they have different protocols on what they do. And so that's what's hard is if you already don't know the sales, you don't know the clinical, you don't have what they're looking for, and then you don't know the process, what happens is you guys are literally walking in blind the whole way. And then a lot of times you don't understand the opportunity at hand compared to the people we consistently get hired at over six figures are fully prepared, ready to go. And then again, last thing to continue to land on, and then we'll go and answer your guys' questions. So if you have any, drop them in the chat. But again, does a company feel if they're going to give you 85, 100, 150, whatever it is, do they feel like they are getting a steal? And do they have FOMO that if they don't take you, somebody else will? Right? So that's what I just want you guys to continuously think of as you go through this process. But that's to give you a whole overview of what medical device sales is, what you need to do on LinkedIn, how you can make sure you stand out, and how you can even get some calls and get some interview processes started. But now what I want to do is I want to make sure that we open it up to questions for you all, because I know that you guys have questions. And so I want to make sure that I can answer questions just for anybody watching. So we'll be able to drop those now. But I just want to make sure you guys know that we're here just to help. So, Colin, as a senior in college, I've been doing everything you say, like connecting, calling, and really getting my name around these reps. Would you recommend applying to jobs before graduation? Colin, first off, love the hustle, my man. Absolutely amazing job. And you're starting early, which is great. So you want to do that. So for me personally, I wouldn't tell you to apply. And here's why. Because you're already making connections with the reps and the managers. And once you put yourself in an application, like we talked about, it goes into the AI and it goes into their process. And a lot of times there's a lot of other people inside of that process that actually don't understand the industry, and they'll just look at your background and throw you out because of your resume. Compared to what we would suggest is continue to make those networks, those connections, those conversations, continue to build those relationships before you actually graduate. And if you do the right things throughout the right steps at the right times, you won't even have to apply. And what messes with a lot of people, so I can just say this, is many of our people, like one of the people we just got hired, the reason they had to put their application in is because they were already getting the job offer, which blows a lot of people's minds. But like, that's why, again, just applying, it just puts you in a system, and we usually will suggest maybe not doing that route. So Kirsty, you love it. Got in a year ago. It's so rewarding, grateful to be in the industry as a nurse. Well, first off, absolutely amazing. Congratulations on breaking in. But number two, that's just so you guys know, nurses make absolutely amazing. Actually, I forgot to mention Randy. We were just out in Tampa, got him hired through the program. He just got hired at 150K. So congratulations, Randy. And he came from a nursing background. And so I just want to say this, if there's anybody who's a nurse, you all make perfect candidates, whether that you want to go for an associate sales rep, you want to go a clinical specialist, or you want to go a territory manager. Like, you are one of the rare breeds with the clinical background that you can do the full spectrum. And one thing I'll just say from that podcast that most people missed is many nurses downplay their background, but don't understand how valuable it is to all of these medical device companies. So Kirsty, I just want to say congratulations. It's absolutely a great industry, and all the nurses that we know, they never go back. So yeah, I'm glad that it's going well for you. All right, Bender. Great stuff. Question for later. First, regarding the emphasis of putting numbers in your resume, which figures do these hiring managers like to see? Is it percentage or total revenue? So build with Bender. So first off, great question. It's both. It's both. They want to see, just think about this in medical device sales and resumes and everything. It's growth. They want to see growth. Now, that can be a couple different things. It could be percentages, but it can also be total rev. What are you doing? Because again, just understand, for example, our nurses, they're not going to be putting total rev in their aspects of it. But if you can put numbers, if you can put percentages, if you can put those aspects in there, it's only going to be able to help you throughout that process. But what I would just sit here and tell you, it just matters how long you've been there. We've done where it's like just over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It depends on what it is, whether it's like growth of a company, maybe it's growth in revenue, but it could also just be like growth in a department. Or for example, we've had people who maybe weren't in sales, but they did like marketing, and they were able to grow the audience by, 1,000%, or let's say 400% over an 18-month span. Like, there's numbers, because again, all you're trying to do is get numbers on there that show growth, so you can have conversations in the resume or in the interview later. So is it unethical to go into medical device offices and physically hand them my resume? Jake, first off, love the question. If it's unethical, be unethical. No, I'm just kidding. Don't ever be unethical. Always be ethical. But just so you know, my man, that's totally fine. That's you just hustling. So yeah, you're totally fine. It's not going to be considered unethical, especially if you don't have any ties, if you don't know them, if you're just like literally going into hustle, you're going to be just fine. If you could find medical device sales offices, that's great. But the one thing I will just let you know is many reps and managers, they don't go into an office many times. They, like, again, if you think about like when I was at Medtronic, I was the rep of Arizona and New Mexico. My other counterparts were in Denver. The other counterparts were in Oklahoma. My manager, like, they had it all over. So many times we all work, quote unquote, remote, but not remote, right? So we have our like home office that we work out of, and then we go and do our stuff, but we're not normally going into an office. But that doesn't mean you can't go in, because maybe they have certain places that you go, maybe it's a distributorship or other places where they have some office employees there. But I'll just tell you, from a lot of the people we work with, many times talent acquisition and a lot of the reps and managers, they're not working from an office. All right, Robert, which division compensates the best for an ASR? So that's a great question, Robert. That's a question we get asked a lot. It just matters on what division you're going into, which is like we talked about, it's why you asked the question. But what I want you guys to understand is it's really going to depend on the company. And what I mean by that is there's some companies that you could be in a very similar division and it doesn't pay as well. But what I will just sit here and tell you from experience, a lot of like the robotics company, some of the bigger companies like in minimally invasive, we've seen them compensate well over six figures or close to the six figures for like entry level roles. What I'll just sit here and tell you, normally what we will see is a lot of times ortho roles. Again, nothing wrong. We know people that do very well in ortho, but normally from a standard, many times those roles are going to be starting at the lower 45, 55, 65, maybe 70K, which again is nothing wrong. We just see usually from other companies like we've seen in the robotic space or minimally invasive space or even capital like that, they'll start them at higher, or even their base is just higher than what those people will make at an OTE, which just so you guys know stands for on target earnings. So Jake, what is the best way to handle rejections? For example, I had an interview for an associate sales rep role and did not get the offer as the hiring manager said I did not have enough sales experience. So Jake, first off, great question. I just want you guys all to know this, and I say this with the most love. If anybody ever says you didn't get the job because you didn't have enough experience, that's them saying you didn't do enough to show them why they should choose you. Why do I say that? And that's not to hurt anyone's ego, but I just need you all to know every single position I got, I had the least amount of experience, right? When I was at Medtronic, I was 25 years old coming from personal training. I beat out people who were coming from Stryker for 10 years, right? Same thing when I went to Innovis. I took a regional sales manager role. My counterparts were 35 and 42. They all had 6, 10. My one counterpart had 20 plus years experience coming from J&J and Intuitive. So why I'm sharing that is going back to what we say, learn how to play the game so you can win the game. The easiest way a manager or a rep can get you out and not have to like explain themselves or actually tell you what you did wrong is just say you didn't have enough experience. But if you're doing the right things, you will go on. So I just want to say that out of the most love. That's not a slight. That's not to make you feel bad. Just understand there's improvements. We just need to figure out what those improvements are, because if you're doing the right things, like we just got, for example, Kyle, 23 years old, just hired at over $115,000 with Boston Scientific. He was doing valet before this. No experience, no clinical, no sales, right? So the reason I'm just sharing that is if you're doing the right things, age, experience really doesn't matter. You'll get where you need to go. But how you handle rejection is, I actually just had this call with one of our people today, right before this, is, they lost out on one position and it's like, hey, don't worry about it. Let's just, where can we learn? What did we do wrong? And the problem is if you don't know what you did wrong, that's the challenging and frustrating part. But we figured out what they had done wrong. And then I said, we bring it back to dating. Does it do any good to hang out with or think about the person who just broke up with you? No. Okay, let's move on and let's go at the positions, because that person actually had 3 opportunities with larger medical device companies. So I said, don't focus on the ones you just lost, focus on the new opportunities, right? I think about Kobe Bryant as well. You can't go make the shot you just missed, right? So just go focus on the next shot. So what I would just say, sit here and face rejection. Many times rejection is just, we didn't do what we needed to. Now, again, that's not always. Sometimes there's just some people, for example, dating, you're not going to be compatible with every human being. So don't take everything so personally, but you do have to understand what could have got you to where you didn't get that offer. And that's what we do big on reflection and just moving on. But beating yourself up is only stopping you for future opportunities. All right, Carter, what is the best way for young students to transition a networking relationship into an internship with a medical device company? So Carter, great question. So the biggest thing I can just sit here and tell you is it's just creating that relationship, having those conversations. And then if something's going well, right, and it's getting closer to that intern time, maybe 6 months, 3 months out, maybe you can always ask them, hey, do you guys offer internships? If you don't know if they do. If you do know that they offer internships, that I would just continue to keep those relationships, and then I would be bringing it up to the people that you're talking to. And I would honestly just get into the point where I'm like, how do I become a part of this internship? Just start learning. Again, in sales, people like very direct, but just understand, make sure you're doing the work before you just ask for the internship, right? If you're doing all the stuff, you're making a lot of good relationships, you're having good conversations, ask a bunch of different people. You'll learn a bunch of different pieces of advice on how to do the internship. And again, then that can leverage you into that internship. So that would be my encouragement for you. But just understand, to anyone else watching this, internships aren't like other internships in medical device sales where like other industries, many times people will do internships after they graduate college. Medical device sales usually doesn't do that. They're doing internships as sophomore, juniors in college, and then seniors, they're expecting you guys to go get hired. Not many times will they do an internship after you graduate at 22, 23, and then go to an internship. We'll get some more questions, but the one thing I'll just sit here and tell you guys is, first off, great question so far. This is the thing that I absolutely love, is like being able to help you guys all, because you just need to know how you can stand out. But the one thing I'll just sit here and tell you guys is this process, just understand the whole medical device sales interview process is trying to tell you why you're not a good fit, right? They're going to tell you why you're not a good call for them. And when that happens, you just can't take it too much to be personable. You can't be like, oh my gosh, I'm a bad fit. Because again, two things. Number one, it could be you, right? But number two, it could be just maybe you guys have different pieces of what you're looking for. But what I can just sit here and tell you from coaching lots and lots of people and getting people hired literally on the daily, for most people, it's going to be, they just don't understand the process, and then they don't understand how they can be standing out. Because again, if you come in with the mindset that you guys need to actually go and beat out people that have more experience, you'll show up differently. All right. And the question is, do I need medical or science background to get into medical device sales? So first off, great question. Big thing is, these are common questions we get. No, you don't need a medical or a science background. We get plenty of people with a marketing background, a sales degree, or people who got anything and then they went and got sales. We see entrepreneurship or degrees that are focused entrepreneurship with a focus on sales, right? We see those. What I can just sit here and tell you, as long as you have a 4-year degree, you're good. Even if you don't have a 4-year degree, we've been able to help people without a 4-year degree or even with associate's degree get into medical device sales. Just understand it's going to be a different path. But just think about it as a medical or a science background is it could help you, right? But also, just so you guys know, a marketing or a business background could help you as well, right? Because again, the companies will teach you a lot of the stuff. So as long as you have a 4-year degree, you're in a good spot. All right. What technical questions are asked during late round interview processes, and how should someone with no medical sales background experience prepare for it? Reading general anatomy books. All right, so great question. So a couple of things. Number one, when you're asking what technical, that's going to be 100% dependent on the company, the division, the people you're with. Some might ask you, like we've seen in ortho, where they're like, hey, tell us how to do a total joint. And they're going to make you, during the process and interview process, learn that. But we've also had people who've never had to even learn what they're selling and what the procedures are. So the one thing I just sit here and tell you is this is where having a lot of conversations with people, learning about what they do, what they sell, what the procedures they're in, doing more research. Great ones are like ViewMedi. That's a great website that you guys can go check out, and doing that aspect of it. But what I would sit here and tell you guys, for me to you guys, is what you can do is make sure that you guys are just focused on the companies and focus on the people that you're networking at these companies. Can you read a general anatomy book? Yes, but in my opinion, it's a lot of wasted time. And why that is because a company is going to do all the training on you. They're going to want to just make sure you know how to do the aspects of what it is. And so, for example, you could go look at a shoulder, and that's great. But if you're looking at how to do an actual shoulder joint surgery, it's more important for you guys to go look at the shoulder surgery than it is for you just to learn all the anatomy of it. So hopefully that can be helpful. All right, Jess. I have a background in the cath cardiology world. Perfect. I have many connections in the reps. I currently have the EP. I'm currently the EP clinical coordinator. Does being a certain role inhibit you from moving into a clinical rep role? I went through the whole interview process with a company that I was really close with. They questioned me during the final interview, which is normal. Just so you know, if I had a talk with the manager, MD, about transitioning, I told them not yet due to the trying to not rock the boat. And they didn't offer me. Let me just go into this so I can read the whole thing. And so they didn't. I told them not yet, and they didn't offer me. Sorry, I don't see the whole rest of that question. But with that said, here it is. That 4 weeks of notice was too long, but want me on a team for the future. Is that an expectation to tell the management docs when their areas are looking for work? So great question, Jess. So welcome to the world of medical device sales and people being like, well, you didn't already let them know, but we wanted you to start yesterday, but you like, don't worry about it. First off, you have a great background. So we just got somebody, literally Randy, who we just talked about, very similar background, 150K, like started in. So first off, great background. What I would sit here and tell you is you can have a conversation. All these medical device companies are going to say like, oh, you didn't already tell them. Well, we need you to start yesterday so they can go to that aspect. But for example, the same company that's telling you they need you to start yesterday are the same people who we just went through this in a medical device interview with a company that we're working with. They literally said, we're trying to hire someone yesterday. It's been 5 weeks and they haven't even done in-person interviews with them yet. Right. So just want that conversation to be said. So what I would just sit here and tell you for you, Jess, is don't worry about it too much. What I would just sit here and tell you is having the connections is really good. Being able to show your background is going to be an absolute strength for you. So I love that. But for example, that medical device company is saying that you should have, like, you need to tell people and then there's not enough turnaround time and all that. That's just getting into the weeds, being transparent, because transparently, even if they hired you, you're going to have to put a time in to put your 2 weeks in. Plus you're going to have to go do training with them. It's not like you start and then you're selling the next day. So I want to get too crazy on that. It just sounds like a company that got in the weeds and then like they found a reason to tell you they'll look at hiring you in the future. So what are some common mistakes to avoid? So great questions. A couple common mistakes that I see with people first wanting to get in medical device sales is they think it's like every other interview process, right? They don't do their research. They don't understand how intense it can be. But also just from an aspect of like when they get asked, do you have any questions? They say no, which doesn't show that they've prepped for anything. They try to keep it too lackadaisical. That's number one is like on that piece is they try to like keep it too chill. But then I also see people on the other end where they're trying to guess. They try to guess what everyone wants to hear. So then it drives you guys absolutely insane and actually makes you guys go crazy because you're trying to be like, what do they want to hear? But I don't know what they want to hear. And this is what I would sit here and tell you is stay true to you. Make sure that you stay true to everybody that you're to yourself, because everybody's going to have a different opinion. And the one thing I'll just sit here and tell you, the worst thing you could do is go get into a relationship with somebody who is not aligned with you, right? So if you're faking yourself or you're trying to be who they want you to be, well, once you get in a year from now, it's only going to make your life harder compared to if you're just you and doing everything you need to. That's going to help you out. And the last piece of advice is just actually like talk to people, listen, learn, not see what you can only get from people. Because that's what rubs a lot of reps and managers a wrong way, because we all know which you want jobs, but many of you just literally blatantly come out like, I don't care about you. I just want a job. And you don't say those exact words, but you make people feel that way. What are a typical career path and opportunities for advancement? So that's a great question. So a lot of the times we get for people wanting to break into medical device sales, the three most common things I hear for is they want to feel fulfilled, right? They want to make sure they do it, but they actually want to have a financial freedom, a good work-life balance, and they want career trajectory, right? Trajectory. So for that, typical career path is normally what it would look like is like an associate sales rep to a territory manager, to then you can go like a field sales trainer, then you can go into that like regional manager. But the caveat is you can also come into like a clinical role, right? Clinical specialist, and maybe skip the associate sales rep if you're coming from, let's say, a nursing background or a clinical background. And then from there, you might be able to go into training, education, or you can still go from a clinical background to a rep role, depending on where you go. So the beautiful thing is there's always a going up. And then we've had a lot of people who want to go like climb the corporate ladder where they'll be in sales for a little bit. Then they go over to marketing. And then either from marketing, they go to a different division, or they come back into sales, which then has them usually climb the ladder a little higher to where they were previously at. So that's one of the big things. And so that's the biggest thing, you guys. I want you guys to know is we're always here to help you. We love being able to help you. First off, great questions by everyone. That's so much fun. And so just continuously wanting to help you guys. One of the most common things we always get told is, hey, what are some of the medical device companies? Where should I go? Do I want to go a big company, a small company, a medium company? And so we wanted to make your guys' life as easy as possible. So we actually are going to put in the chat a PDF that you guys can all go sign up for, that you guys can go and make sure that you guys can get your own PDF where we've put hundreds of medical device companies that you guys can all go get, that it will be as extremely helpful as possible for you all, because most people don't know the different companies. They don't know the different divisions. They don't know where to start. And so for us, we really want to make sure that we can get you guys that resource because it is a big journey. There are a lot of companies and there's a lot of different specialties. And so it's like, where do you want to go? So we're going to drop that down below in the chat where you guys can go and click on that link. So that's number one. Now, the other thing that we're going to put out there is for us, we want to make sure that we're always trying to provide value. And most of the time we hear people being like, Jacob, I just don't even know what I'm doing wrong. I've been trying, it's not going anywhere. Or, hey, I just found you guys, or I found out about medical device sales and I want to learn more. And so for us, we're always happy to get on a call with you guys because we've just helped so many people where we want to learn more. We want to learn about your journey. We want to learn how we can help you. And then from there, if you guys have questions or if we can give you suggestions, podcast episodes, other resources that can help you, we would love to be able to do that. So we're going to drop in the link below the PDF is we're also going to put a link to the chat where you guys can go schedule a call with us and our team, because for us, we want to make sure that we can make sure to help you guys get to where you want to go. And a lot of times, sometimes it's just being able to talk to someone who does this every day and then being able to be like, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. Or, hey, I had this question, but I haven't been able to get this answered. Because a lot of times, many times you will go talk to 2, 3, 5 different reps and you'll get 3 to 5 different answers and you're actually more confused than when you started. So we do this every day. So if you guys would like to schedule a call with our team, again, what we will do is we'll just learn a little bit more about you. And then from that aspect, if we have resources, we can help you guys. If you guys are really serious about breaking medical device sales and want to learn about different things we offer, we're more than happy to help you guys in that process as well. But again, just want to make sure that we're helping you guys always get to where you want to go. And then the last thing I want to put out there is I've learned with working in a lot of people, the biggest thing is mindset. And most people don't have the right mindset on how to actually make themselves a candidate to make 6 figures, go make $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. And they really don't even have the mindset where they believe they could. And so that's the most common thing we've seen. So we put together a little mini course for you all that you guys can all go grab that will get you guys in the right mindset, that will make you start thinking of what should you be doing so you can stand out, so you can go get those jobs for 100, 110, 115 plus, right? And so we'll drop that link down in the chat as well. But what we just want you guys to know is we're here to help you guys get every step of the way, every process of the way. We just want to continue to provide value because we understand how amazing this industry is. We understand that many of you have great experience. You just don't know how to sell yourself. You don't know how to tell your story, or you don't even know where to start. And so we don't want that to be holding you back, because just like Kyle, who came from ballet, who now works with one of the top companies, when we have one of our guys who just went from, like Randy, who went from nursing to now makes more money off his base than he could have made with all the overtime in the world. And then he's still going to get commission and have Fridays off and all of that aspect. That's the thing that you guys want to understand. That's why we do this, right? When we help Trey go from 24 years old, right, making only $75,000 to breaking in at $160,000. It's that guy just changed his life for the rest of his life. And we love it. We love being able to help you all. And so just understand, if you guys are looking to learn more about how to break into medical device sales, just learn more about medical device sales. Or if you guys are wanting to get yourself in the right mindset, that's why we put all the links down below. We just want to be able to help you all. We want you to have the most success. And if you guys have any questions, you're more than welcome to always reach out to me. I'm happy to answer. We get a lot of messages, and we make sure to make time to get on calls with all of you guys. But I just want to say, truly from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you. I love seeing you all. I love seeing people who jump on here, who want to get better, who want to break into medical device sales, who actually just want to just improve their life. And just understand, medical device sales is an industry and a career where you can continue to grow. You can continue to feel fulfilled. You can know you're making a difference in what you're doing every single day. And the craziest part and the best part is while I'm changing other people's lives, you can also go change your life because of the benefits that come into medical device sales as a career. And so if you guys are interested, please feel free to reach out. Like I said, you guys can go click the link down below. But I just want to keep encouraging every single person that you guys can do it. Again, we want to help you. You winning doesn't make us lose. We only think you win as well. And that's why we do all of this stuff. So again, if you guys want to, click the link below, schedule a call with our team, go get that PDF that has hundreds of free medical device companies on there and divisions that you guys can go learn from. And if you guys are wanting to get in the right mindset, you guys can make sure that you guys are going to go put yourself in the right position. So you guys can go click that link. And then lastly, we are going to do the next Q&A September 16th. So you guys are sure to, guys can go down below and you can register for that as well if you would like to. But I want to end it on what Jake has to say. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and hope. The future is bright for you all. Good luck on your endeavors. Jake, love the support, love the encouragement out to everybody. And I just want you guys to know it's so possible. It truly, you can go live your dream life. A lot of times you just have to figure out to go bet on you and put in the work, and we just want to watch you win. So if you guys ever have questions, you want to learn how to win, you want to learn how to get into this industry and not just be like everybody else and go through the frustrations of 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, we're always here to help. So appreciate you guys. And until next time, keep going after your dreams, go after your goals, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Peace.